Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. I have to admit, this is my first ever virtual presentation, so we'll see how this goes, and I might have to ask for a few technical assistance from Joe as we go along. So welcome, everybody. I am Kiki Jacobs, Director of Athletics. I've been here now, just finishing my third year here, and I just want you to know that this has been a great place to work. I've been at 4 other Division III institutions, and I have to say that there is something special about this place. So I'm just going to give you some nuts and bolts about Roger Williams, our athletics, varsity athletics, club sports, intramurals, and fitness center. And if you have questions, like Joe said, just type it into the chat feature and I'll try and get to that at the end. But I am not sure. I know some of the names actually look familiar. I may have met you on an accepted or an open house, but so I'm assuming that we've got people there that are varsity, looking to do varsity athletics as well as just participate in fitness and wellness here. So we're going to start with the athletic department thing. We have 24 varsity sports and 6 club sports. We are Division III, so there are no athletic scholarships available. Division III does allow you to do other things. So our student athletes are also resident advisors. They work orientation committees. They are on other clubs and student government. So they are involved in other things. Most of our teams participate in the Commonwealth Coast Athletic Conference. Commonwealth Coast, geography-wise, we go as far as University of New England, north is New England. We go as far west as Western New England, and we go as far south as our neighbors just on the island at Salve Regina. So we do cover that. So most of our trips within the conference are about 2 hours or closer. So we've got about 520 student athletes. Our exact number this last year was 507. We've usually run around as high as 530 or so. And with those 24 sports, we don't have too many multi-sport athletes, but we do have a number of people that will do cross country and track and field. We have a couple of people that also do maybe a fall sport like soccer or volleyball, and also do track and field as well. So we do have a couple of multi-sport athletes, but it's really not as popular as it used to be. Our GPA last year was a 3.78. That's a cumulative GPA. And then that's right at what the general student body average is, or they're slightly above. So our students are doing well in the classroom as well as on the fields. So that is a positive. A question that we always get asked is there required study hall? And some coaches do require it from first years or transfer students, and some coaches don't. It just depends on the coach. So that's a good question to ask the coaches when you're meeting with them. And then our student athletes last year performed 4,400 hours of community service. So they are involved in the community. Some of the things that they do is they go into the classrooms and read. They will have community events that have, little kids will come to the games, and then they'll do a session with them afterwards on just teaching them some skills and things like that. But they do, and some of them are doing trash pickup. So it's a full range of things, and each of the coaches have kind of their pet projects that the teams get involved in. So that's how they get their community service hours in. So the next part, if you want to play in college, if you haven't done this already, contact the coach directly. You can feel free to contact me too if you want, and I will pass your message on to the coaches. And then submit the online questionnaire. If you go to the website, pick out the sport, they will have the online questionnaire that you can fill out to get onto their radar screen. And this also sends over to admissions, so it's something that you can get into the admissions groove as well. Talk to the coaching staff, see how you might fit into the team. What I do tell people, if you're in a sport like swimming, cross country, track and field, look at the season as a whole, not just the end of season meet or the last final championship meet. See how you fit into their dual meet schedule so you can get an accurate reading of the times. Don't go based on records, because those are records. They're not what people are doing on a regular basis. And then just set up an honest, set up a conversation with the coach, either, now because of COVID, on Zoom or over the telephone, and have an honest conversation with them. Find out where you'll fit in and find out how you might fit in and contribute to the team. So our club sport offerings, we've got 6 club sports right now. One thing that I was remiss in saying on this club sports slide when I made this up on Thursday, we are adding 2 club sports for next year. So you'll see on this slide, we have men's and women's rugby, ultimate frisbee, men's ice hockey, men's volleyball, and co-ed gymnastics. In the fall, we are adding as a club sport women's ice hockey, and we are also adding e-sport. So if any of those are of interest to you, we will have club programs for that. The club programs on varsity athletics, when they're in season, are going 6 days a week. Club sport programs are going 2 to 4 times a week, and they usually compete on the weekends. And their seasons are anywhere from 8 to 14 weeks long, just depends on how the season is structured. As compared to varsity athletics are 18, 19-week seasons. So the club sport programs are fairly competitive. This last year, our men's ice hockey team, or just actually this year, men's ice hockey team qualified for nationals. The event got canceled. It was down in Dallas. It got canceled just during spring break due to the COVID crisis. But we are competitive. Our rugby teams are always competing in, the regional championships and things like that. So it is a commitment, but it's definitely not as much of a commitment. So if you have specific questions on the club sports, Mark Andriozzi oversees our club sport programs, but also the coaches are listed on the website. So you can get in touch with them if you have any interest in any of these. I have to say that there are some club sport athletes that do multiple club sports. We don't have too many varsity athletes who also do a club sport, but it is possible to do both. So if something is of interest to you, please ask and please pursue it if you want to. So the next kind of athletics we do have here is intramurals, and intramurals happen within Roger Williams. So last year we had 1,100 participants last year. So about a little more than a quarter of the undergraduate population participated in intramurals last year. We have 18 sports that are offered for intramurals. I just listed a few on this slide, including flag football, floor hockey, softball, dodgeball. They usually the seasons are 4 to 5 weeks long. And when the champion is declared of that, and you can make up your own team. So a lot of teams come from the residence halls floors. Some teams are just friends. Some teams, you may not know anybody. So if you want to participate, let's say in intramural volleyball and you don't have a team or enough for a team, you can sign up as a free agent and you get picked up by some other teams that might need a few people, or the free agents get together and do a team. So no experience needed at all. So it's just sort of a fun way to meet people and get out and do some things. So Marty Kelly, he's also our men's lacrosse coach, can help you with that and give you some more information on the intramural program. But it is a pretty vibrant sports program. And we are also looking for ideas. If you want to do something, if something piques your interest and we don't have an intramural program, we can get it going. You just need to talk to Marty and, you know, grab a friend and see if you can get it going. So it's a pretty fluid type of an offering that we have. And then finally, the last thing that we have is a just fitness and wellness. We have fitness center that's open 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. at night every day. 8-lane, 25-yard pool, hot tub sauna, fitness classes. We also have this thing, it's called Volt, and it's a strength and conditioning app that the university is a part of. A lot of our student athletes and club sport athletes use it, but it's also available to faculty, staff, and students. And the students, we've gotten very good reviews on it, and the students really like it. And they can, you download it to your phone. You can set up programs, something like a couch to 5K, how to run a marathon. You could do it if you were sports specific for soccer, swimming, basketball, softball, baseball, sports specific, or if you're training to be, you know, maybe past the military fitness requirements, if you're going to, you know, maybe join ROTC or something. They've got all sorts of things that you can look into and do and cover through this app. So, but I mean, one thing with the fitness center, we also look for student workers. We have a huge need for student workers in the athletic department and the recreation center. So if you have work study hours, we definitely need some help. So you'd help with opening and closing the building, you know, staff the front desk during the day, or help with lifeguarding, but we definitely need some help, you know, to keep this department running. So with that, I'm going to open it up for questions. So, you know, hopefully I've triggered a few questions in your mind, so let me know.
So I'm going to go to the chat. The first question that came in, I was able to speak to a little bit, Kiki, but there was a couple of follow-up questions. So rather than me just kind of try to type it in, given that you've gotten through everything, let's get to it. The question is move-in day different for student athletes? And then the follow-up question was, how much earlier do fall sport athletes move in?
Okay, for fall sport athletes, so for our fall sports, we have men's and women's soccer, field hockey, men's and women's cross country, golf, women's tennis, and I think I hit them all. We have 7. Volleyball, women's volleyball. So I'll answer the second question first. Fall student athletes do come back early. This year, it looks like move-in is around August 28th, I think, is that Saturday. Our student athletes are reporting to campus anywhere from August 22nd, 23rd, or 24th. And those dates are determined by the NCAA rules. We're allowed a certain number of days before the first contest. So that's how that is determined. So the student athletes moving in on August 22nd, 23rd, 24th will move in, have practices, and then the student athletes that are on campus will help with move-in on the 28th to help move in all the other students onto campus. So you do come back a little bit early, but you are busy the whole time. So you will not get bored, or you might be a little homesick for some, but you will not be bored because you'll be at practice the whole time.
Do we have strength trainers for athletics? There's a student transferring from a program at UMaine that has sport-specific trainers.
We do not have sport-specific strength and conditioning people on board. We do have athletic trainers if you're injured. We do have three or four athletic trainers depending on which part of the year it is. So for the strength training, we do have a couple of people on staff who are CSCA certified, but we have relied on Volt to help with our strength and conditioning needs, which the students and the coaches have really enjoyed. And it gives you in season as well as out of season practices.
Can you, a club sport question, can you tell us about the status of club crew and how we are in progressing toward getting resurrecting that?
Club crew, I arrived 3 years ago now. Crew only had like 3 or 4 people that were interested in rowing at that point. The boats are not in great shape at the moment, and we do not have good water. We're surrounded by water, but it's pretty rough to be in a shell and out on the water. We are setting up. We're in the process of setting something up in Barrington, which is, for those who don't know this area, it's about 4 or 5 miles up the road, to row out of there and to help get the program relaunched, using their facilities and also using their people, to see if we can get some interest, regain some traction with this. So as of right now, we don't have an active crew program, but we're trying to get it to go again.
Are there specific academic or team advisors for varsity athletic programs?
We have a program called the Faculty Athlete Mentors, or faculty athlete mentors. A few of our programs have a real close relationship with a faculty member, and this faculty member is not an advisor per se, not an official advisor, but they are the go-between with any academic questions you might have. Like for our men's soccer program, it has a professor that's been here 40 years, and Bob shows up to every game. He knows every student. He meets with every student on the men's soccer team. And, they may or may not take his classes, but he is also actively helping them with navigating how to talk to your faculty members. We have somebody else that's with sailing that does an excellent job with that. He's out of the business school. And then, so it just depends on which sport you're doing, on how involved the faculty athlete mentor is.
For varsity athletes, is access to the trainer strictly injury or recovery based, or is there maintenance and just general health that students can use those accommodations?
It's a little of both. We do have, I have to say, during certain parts of the year, the athlete trainers are pretty busy just trying to, piece people back together again, I guess. But they do offer rehab, and they do offer maintenance programs depending on the sport, in conjunction with working with the coach and working with, if it's a physical therapy need, we have PTs that do come to campus that are helping people that have a need for that on Tuesday and Thursdays. So they'll work in conjunction with them if it's a PT need. But a lot of the stuff that is incorporated into the strength and conditioning part, or the preseason, postseason type of stuff, is a lot of rehab-based training that can help strengthen. For me, I was a swimmer, so we did a lot of, it's a lot of shoulder work to try and strengthen your shoulders, so it's not, you don't end up injured partway through the season.
Is sailing considered a varsity sport or a club sport?
So sailing is varsity. They are part of the Intercollegiate Sailing Association, which ICSA, and they are competitive. They have a season that's actually probably about 24 weeks long. They go fall and spring. And I would highly suggest you get in touch with Amanda Callahan, and she can tell you more about it. We also, which I neglected to put on the fitness and wellness slide, we do have a Learn to Sail program. So you can go out and, learn to sail here in Bristol. We have kayaks and paddle boards that are available if you want to use those on some nice day in the fall. It's a little chilly in the spring, I have to say, but it is available if you want to use that.
So one particular question comes in relating specifically to cross country, but I can ask it across the board. For students who are athletes in high school, can they participate at Roger Williams, or do they need to be recruited?
Don't need to be recruited. Specifically, what you do need to do, though, is get in touch with the coach. So for cross country, it would be Sean Livingston. I would get in touch with him. He can tell you more about what would be expected of you. And then he can give you, a date to either try out or come back and work out with the team in the fall. So all of our coaches, all of our sports have tryout dates. So even if you were not recruited, they do have tryout dates for the program, so you can make the roster, and coaches do have plenty of people make the roster as a sort of walk-on, if you want to refer to it as that. So, but the biggest thing you need to do right now is get in touch with a coach, and there will be some athletic training forms that you do need to fill out. So if you're not on the coach's radar screen, you won't get those forms and you won't be able to practice immediately when you get here.
All right. So those are all the questions that have been submitted thus far. If there are any other questions out there, I'm going to hang around for a few minutes. That will still allow time to get those questions in. Kiki, anything else that you want to add before we complete kind of the formal part of the presentation?
No, all I want to say is, and I tell this to all the groups that I present to, I was a Division III college student athlete, and for me, swimming was an awesome experience. It's a great way to meet people. The school I went to did not have any club sports, so couldn't speak to that. But, athletics, if you're used to doing it now, is something that should be something that you continue with, whether it's on the, go out for a run during the day sometime or whatever it is, or competing at the highest level. So really, if athletics played a role for you during high school or growing up in club, I would highly, highly recommend that you stick with it and try and do something with it, because it is, a lot of things change in college, and that's one thing that you can feel good about. It's like, oh, I used to be a runner. Oh, I used to be a basketball player. So I want to, really encourage you to do that. So, and just, ask a lot of questions. Feel free to reach out to me. My email is kjacobs@rwu.edu. And if I can't answer it, I will direct you to whoever can.
One additional question that just came through, with NCAA Division III rules, are student athletes allowed to train outside of the 18-week season?
NCAA rules are a little bit restrictive for Division III in some ways. You are allowed to train, but it's not under the supervision of the coach. Once you get outside that 18, 19-week playing and practice season, you need to be doing it on your own or with your teammates, but it can't be coach directed. And that's to allow you to do other things if you want to, or be a multi-sport athlete if you want to. So there are fairly strict rules from the NCAA guiding us on certain things, and playing in practice season, as it's called, is one of them. Recruiting is another, and grades and satisfactory progress, as it's called, towards your degree. So you do have to hold a certain GPA in order to be eligible. It's not real challenging GPA, but you still have to pass a certain number of credit hours and get a certain GPA in order to stay eligible throughout your career.
Well, thank you everyone for taking part. This wraps up kind of everything that we had prepared to discuss. So, if you've heard what you needed to, you gained the perspectives that you needed to, you can feel free to drop from the session. Again, this will be available online if you'd like to refer back to anything. Kiki's information can be found online. Same with mine, but I'm going to enter both of our email addresses here and mine as well. Feel free to contact either of us. And here we go. Another question. Do athletes have to pay for team gear?
Stuff that is on the field stuff, jerseys, whatever you get to get suited up to be on the field, we cover. A lot of teams order other things like jackets and sweatshirts and t-shirts and all that stuff. You would be required for paying for that stuff.
Are there ever cases when student athletes take fewer class credit hours in a semester that's in season?
You have to take 12 credit hours as minimum. We will see some students, let's just say their spring sport, baseball, softball, lacrosse, or fall, which the soccer's or something, they might take 12 or 14 credits in their sports season and then load up to 18 or so during the off season. It's probably a little bit easier just to remain kind of steady at 15 credit hours the whole way through, just because sitting at 15 allows you some wiggle room if you do happen to have to drop a class. So as soon as you fall below 12, we have to pull you off the team and pull you out of practice and competition. So we usually try and encourage student athletes to take 15.
Awesome.
Anything
Thank
else?
you, Kiki.
No problem.
That's everything that's come through so far. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, everyone. Be in touch. Let us know how we can assist. Stay well. And hopefully when it's safe to do so, we look forward to seeing all of you on campus sometime later this spring or over the summer. Be well, everyone. Take care.
Okay, take care.